Hey guys, this is DIY Family here. This is my house. I filmed this back in last December when weather was cold and I was just recovering from a nasty flu. You can tell this is winter because you see that grass is dormant. I have about half acre lot and I've always wanted to do something nice in my backyard ever since last October. My sister was getting married and we had family and friends come from California and Korea. We had a barbecue party in the backyard with open fire. It was really a lot of fun, and it inspired me to do this patio with the fire pit. It'll be a fun place to entertain family and friends. Unfortunately, though, my backyard had a severe ivy infestation. English ivy, while pretty, would grow to be 10 inches thick as it climbs up trees, killing them. There were also lots of thorny bushes, as well as poison ivy. The worksite was also about 8 feet above ground, so I had to build steps to safely go up and down. As you can see, there are some tall trees surrounding the area. There were a couple more trees, but I had to cut them down because they were in the way. This tree was dying because of the ivy root problem. I had to cut them down with the chainsaw, and I think it's coming back to life. If it doesn't make it, I'll have to cut it, since I cannot have a dead tree in my patio. At this point in time, I have already begun working. I believe I filmed this on my second day of work. I have started to dig around the area, exposing lots of root system and small pebbles, which I had to pick up. As you can see at the center, I have been burning some stuff here. Where I live, we're allowed to have open fire as long as we're burning some leaves and small branches. At this point, I had only a rough sketch of the build. I like improvising and make adjustments based on sudden inspirations. My general idea was to create a patio that is round, organic, and inviting. It would have round corners and it would have low retaining walls surrounding the entire perimeter. Another goal that I had was to keep the whole project under $2,000. Initially, I wanted to do something for less than $1,000, but I soon realized that that was not possible if I wanted to make it look decent. I mean, it would be doable, but it would not look desirable. So because I wanted to keep the cost as low as possible, that means I could not rent any heavy equipment. I had to do all the shoveling manually. But it was good exercise and it was fun. One of the trees that I cut down left a stump that I had to get rid of. I didn't think much about this because I thought I could just remove it because it's not a big stump. But I realized that that was a tall order. I've done some research on Google and YouTube, and I watched some videos of people burning down stumps and thought that it was doable. This corner would be where my grill would be sitting. I wanted to make sure that I would have a half circle of at least 3 feet diameter. I wanted to check if I could leave the stump alone, but unfortunately it had to go. So my initial plan was to use an axe to chip away, but the stump was hard as rock. I then tried to dig around the stump using a shovel and try to move it using shovel as a leverage, but it would not move at all. Eventually I decided to burn it down, and that turned out great. After a week of burning, the whole stump was gone completely. I began working on steps. The basic premise was the same. You dig, you temp, you put paver base, and then sand. The difficult part was that I had to dig a lot of dirt, especially as I moved down, and the steep slope made it challenging to work in this area. It was typical Georgia red clay dirt, which has been compacted over many years. I had to use a pickaxe to break it. I wanted to make sure that each step was uniform in length, width, and height. This will not only ensure the professional finish once I'm done with the project, but also it would be a safety hazard if steps were randomly sized. I dry fitted these steps first and then leveled them and glued them together off camera. I bought 3 bags of lava rocks to fill my fire pit. They are red in color and are a perfect match for red mulch that I purchased. I've done some research online and learned that you cannot use river rock to fill the fire pit. River rocks are not as dense as lava rocks and will capture moisture when it rains. Then it would explode when you hit them up. Besides, lava rocks look so much better in a fire pit than any other types of rocks. I then began working on building side walls using retaining wall blocks. These blocks were staggered at every joint and glued together for maximum stability. The walls are higher around the fire pit at about 4 foot high so that people could sit on top of them around the fire pit to enjoy the fire. They are lower in other parts at about 2 foot high. These retaining blocks are about $1.30 a piece. They look great, and the best thing about them is that both front and back can be used. Other retaining wall blocks that I've used in the past had lips in the back, which prevented me from using the back size. Because I could use both front and back of the block, I could alternate them for tighter joints, which further increased stability.
Once walls were done, it was time to mulch. I put cardboards and other paper material on top of the soil to prevent weeds from popping up. Then I wet them down before applying mulch. Once mulching was done, I filled all the joints with sand off camera. And there you go. I've spent about $2,500 in materials. But because I used online gift cards at 6% discount and opened a new credit card with 1 year interest free and $300 back, my actual cost came out to be around $2,000. The investment was definitely worth it as we enjoy every weekend with steaks and burgers with family and friends. I was a little scared and daunted at first to take on such a big project with virtually no experience. But I think it worked out in the end. It was definitely worth it. To give you some tips on saving money while doing a major project like this, first of all, sales at Home Depot and Lowe's are very predictable. They usually go on sale around major holidays like Memorial Day and Thanksgiving. If you want to do an outdoor project like this, you may want to wait until Memorial Day before purchasing your stuff. I knew what I was going to buy as early as February, but I waited until May for a spring sale. Another tip is to purchase discounted gift cards online. If you Google for discounted gift cards at Home Depot or Lowe's, you'll see many websites that sell those cards at discounted prices as much as 10%. Be careful and make sure that those websites are legit before you spend your valuable money.